All right, today we're going deep, really deep into Hindu philosophy.
Oh, excellent.
It's going to be a good one. You sent over some really interesting stuff about the teachings of Krishna,
Yeah,
specifically from the Bhagavad Gita,
right.
and how it can help us, build emotional strength. Today, in the modern world,
Oh, excellent.
so many things going on.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to unpack these timeless concepts, dharma, karma,
Right.
detachment, all that good stuff.
All of it.
So are you ready to break this down?
Absolutely. It's really like a roadmap for surviving, thriving in this crazy world.
Right. And it's amazing how relevant this stuff still is. I mean,
Yes.
thousands of years later.
Absolutely.
Like they tapped into something
They did.
really fundamental about being human.
Yeah.
And, I love a good challenge.
Of course.
So this material focuses a lot on Krishna's advice to Arjuna on the battlefield,
Right.
which talk about needing some emotional strength.
Exactly.
He's facing this impossible decision of having to fight his own family.
Oh, such a powerful story.
I know.
And that whole battlefield thing, that's really important.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a metaphor for our own internal battles, right?
Mm-hmm.
The tough choices we have to make.
Oh, interesting.
And, to help him through it, one of the first things Krishna talks about is this idea of Dharma.
Right,
Yeah.
right. He says, perform your obligatory duty because action is better than inaction.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, I always struggle with Dharma a little bit.
Yeah.
It just seems so abstract.
It can.
How do we make sense of that?
Yeah, you're right. It's a really multifaceted concept,
Okay.
but it's basically about aligning your actions with your inherent nature.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mhm.
what are you meant to be doing?
Okay.
It's your unique contribution to the world.
Okay, so it's not just blindly following rules or expectations then.
No, not at all. It's about what feels authentically right
Okay.
for you. And this is where your skills and your passions meet the needs of the world. Yeah, and Krishna gives these examples of parent, teacher, soldier,
Right.
all fulfilling their dharma, but in totally different ways.
Right.
But the thing that unites them is that they're acting according to their nature,
Okay.
and they're using their unique gifts to contribute,
That makes a lot more sense.
Good.
So the big question then
Yeah.
is how do we figure out our own Dharma?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
I think a lot of us are trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it's a journey. It takes introspection, it takes experimenting,
Mm-hmm.
and just paying attention to what makes you feel purposeful.
Right. What gives you that sense of fulfillment?
Exactly. And also knowing your limitations.
Okay.
What can you actually offer?
So maybe someone who's a natural caregiver
Right.
might find their dharma in nurturing others.
Yeah.
But someone who's, a problem solver
Mhm.
might be drawn to, I don't know, roles where they can make a difference.
Yeah, using their analytical skill
Yeah. Yeah.
to create change.
Yeah. Exactly. So even if we're not facing a literal battlefield like Arjuna,
Right.
understanding our dharma can still give us strength.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when you're living in alignment with your dharma,
Hmm.
it's like you're drawing energy from your very core.
Oh, wow.
You're going to face those challenges with so much more grace.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to another interesting concept,
Okay.
karma yoga.
Yeah.
Now, Krishna says you have the right to work, but never to his fruits.
Mm.
Okay, I need you to break that down for me.
Okay.
How does that relate to emotional strength?
Well, karma yoga is about selfless action.
Okay.
It's focusing on the work itself,
Okay.
not getting attached to the outcome.
Okay.
So you might be thinking, how does that help with stress and pressure?
Right, exactly.
Right. But think about it. You're so fixated on the result of something
Mm-hmm.
that you get anxious, fearful, maybe even paralyzed by what could happen.
Oh, I've been there.
I think we all have.
That feeling of being overwhelmed by
Yeah.
the pressure to succeed.
Absolutely. But with karma yoga,
Mm-hmm.
you're letting go of that control.
Okay.
You do your best. You put your heart and soul into it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you release the attachment to a specific result.
Okay.
It doesn't mean being passive.
Right.
It's about putting energy into the action, not the worry.
So it's more about the process than the destination.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that can be so freeing.
I can see that.
It lets you act with more clarity, purpose, even joy, because you're not weighed down
Mm-hmm.
by what might happen, right?
Right, yeah.
And this translates into emotional strength.
Okay.
You're not letting outside stuff dictate your inner peace.
I love how practical this is. It's
Yeah,
not just, ancient wisdom. It's a way to approach life.
absolutely.
Okay, but this idea of detachment, like not being attached to the results,
Yeah,
sounds hard.
it is.
How do we do that? How do
Yeah.
we build that kind of mental discipline?
Well, that's where the next principle comes in, Vairagya.
Vairagya, okay. That sounds kind of intimidating.
I know, right?
I'm picturing like monks on a mountaintop,
Yeah.
totally detached from the world.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Vairagya is often translated as detachment
Okay.
or dispassion, but it's not about, renouncing the world or suppressing your emotions.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing that true happiness, true fulfillment, doesn't come from external things.
Okay, so shifting the focus inwards.
Exactly. It's about that inner peace,
Hmm.
that contentment that's not dependent on what's going on outside.
Okay.
And Krishna actually talks about this. He says to Arjuna,
Yeah.
O mighty armed son of Kunti, what you say is correct. The mind is indeed very difficult to restrain,
Okay.
but by practice and detachment, it can be controlled.
Okay.
And, the material also talks about Maya,
Right.
that illusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
That keeps us chasing after those temporary pleasures,
Yeah.
all the material things.
Oh, that's so true.
We get stuck in that cycle of wanting more,
Yeah.
always thinking that next thing, that next achievement
Mm-hmm.
is going to bring us happiness, and it never really does.
Never quite does.
It's like trying to quench your thirst with salt water.
Oh, yeah.
The more you drink, the thirstier you get.
Right.
And that's what Vairagya is about.
Okay.
It's recognizing that illusion, breaking free.
Okay, so how do we actually practice that in our daily lives?
It's about becoming mindful
Okay.
of your attachments. Where are you placing your expectations for happiness?
Mm.
So, for example, like if you're feeling stressed about work,
Okay.
are you overly attached to how this project turns out?
Okay.
Could you approach it with more detachment?
Yeah.
Focus on doing your best
Right.
without, needing to control everything.
That's really helpful.
It's like taking a step back,
Yeah.
observing your thoughts and emotions without getting swept away.
Right. Yeah.
And there are, the source material actually outlines these 4 stages of Vairagya,
Okay.
which I think are really helpful.
Okay.
So it starts with, recognizing that worldly things are fleeting,
Okay.
then seeing more clearly what truly matters,
Mm-hmm.
then focusing your energy on spiritual growth,
Okay.
and finally, having that complete control over your desires and your senses.
Wow. So it's a journey.
It's a journey.
Yeah. It starts with small steps.
Absolutely. And I think it could really help with a lot of the stress we all feel in the modern world.
Yeah, like an antidote.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
you're not chasing those external things.
Right.
So you can focus on what matters,
Yeah.
relationships, purpose, your own growth.
Right.
And this leads to more resilience and stability.
Okay. I like it.
It's good stuff.
So this leads us to one of the most profound concepts,
Okay.
this idea of Atman,
Right.
the true self.
Yeah.
I'll admit, this one's always been a bit mysterious to me.
It is. It is a little bit.
Krishna describes it as eternal, unchanging, indestructible. He even says, weapons cannot cut it, fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, and wind cannot dry it.
Wow. Yeah.
Beautiful imagery, but what does it actually mean?
It's true. It is abstract, but think of it this way.
Okay.
Beneath the surface, your thoughts, emotions, experiences, there's this deeper essence. That's you.
Okay.
That's the part that remains constant,
Yeah.
even as everything around you changes.
So it's like the eye of the hurricane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And recognizing that that Atman, that true self, that could be really empowering,
Okay.
because then you can tap into a source of strength and stability
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't depend on what's going on around you.
Wow.
You realize you're not your thoughts.
Yeah.
You're not your emotions.
Right.
You're not your experiences.
Oh.
You're something much greater.
Okay, so how does that change how we approach challenges?
Well, imagine you're going through something difficult,
Mm-hmm.
a job loss,
Mhm.
a health scare. If you're only identifying with your thoughts and emotions,
Yeah.
you might get completely swept away by the fear, the anxiety.
Right, yeah.
But if you can connect with that deeper self, that Atman,
Okay.
you could weather the storm.
Right, you have that anchor.
You do. You do.
Like knowing who you really are
Exactly.
beyond the roles we play.
Yes, and the source material connects this understanding of Atman
Okay.
to Jnana Yoga, which
Huh.
is the path of knowledge, self-realization.
Okay.
It encourages us to, meditate, study, reflect,
Mm-hmm.
so we can understand our true nature.
So it's not just passively accepting this idea.
No, it's actively seeking it out.
Okay, got it.
And as we do that, we naturally start to detach
Mm-hmm.
from those temporary things.
Right. Possessions, achievements,
Yeah.
those fleeting pleasures.
Because we see that true happiness comes from within, from that unchanging essence.
Right.
And this brings us to another path
Okay.
that's outlined in the material Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion.
The path of devotion. That sounds intriguing.
Right.
But I gotta be honest, this whole surrendering to a higher power thing
Yeah.
always felt a little out there for me.
I get it.
How do you even do that?
It's a great question. So Bhakti Yoga, it's about cultivating that loving relationship
Okay.
with the divine.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to mean like worshiping a specific deity. Right. It could be connecting with nature,
Right.
a universal force,
Yeah.
anything that represents something bigger than yourself.
Okay, so it's more accessible than I thought.
Yeah.
But I'm still not sure how devotion makes us stronger emotionally.
Well, we spend so much energy trying to control things,
Oh, yeah.
right? Trying to make things go our way,
Mm-hmm.
which can be exhausting. It leads to anxiety.
Right, that feeling of powerlessness.
Exactly. But when we practice surrender,
Okay.
we acknowledge that some things are beyond our control. And we open ourselves up to like a greater wisdom.
That's not about giving up.
No.
It's a different kind of strength.
Exactly. Krishna says to Arjuna, engage your mind always in thinking of me, offer obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
Okay.
And, this isn't about blind obedience.
Right.
It's about aligning yourself with a higher purpose.
Okay.
Trusting that you're supported, even when things are tough.
So it's like shifting from fear to trust.
Yeah, from scarcity to abundance.
Wow.
And the source material says this can have a huge impact on how we feel.
Really?
Yeah, less anxiety, more peace, more contentment, even more resilience.
Okay, so how do we actually do this?
Well, it could be as simple as taking a few minutes each day
Okay.
to reflect, be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
You could try prayer, meditation, chanting.
Right, right.
The key is to find what resonates with you.
Yeah, what helps you connect?
To something bigger.
I love that. And this whole deep dive has been amazing. We've covered so much.
We have.
Dharma, karma, detachment, the true self, bhakti yoga.
It's a lot.
It's incredible how practical these ancient teachings are.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like they knew what we'd be dealing with today.
You really did. And for everyone listening,
Yeah.
take a moment to think about what really resonated with you today. Which principle speaks to your heart? What small step can you take this week?
Yeah, good question.
Maybe it's meditation, approaching your work differently,
Right.
or just, taking time to be grateful.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, remember that emotional strength is a journey.
It is.
And these ancient wisdom traditions can help us along the way.
They really can.
And as always, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts, your insights on social media.
Let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely.